Imagine a vast, hot desert. Sand stretches as far as the eye can see. The sun burns bright, and water is very rare. In this place, survival is a daily battle. Small groups of people fight each other just to live. This was the Arabian Peninsula over 1,400 years ago. Nobody in the rich empires nearby expected this quiet, harsh desert to change the world. But from these dry sands, a powerful new message grew. It redrew maps, built great cities of learning, and changed the hearts of billions of people. This is the story of the rise of Islam. Long ago, the Arabian Peninsula was a difficult place to live. Most of the land was covered in sand and rock. Because water was hard to find, people could not farm easily. Many people lived as nomads. A nomad is a person who does not have a permanent home and moves from place to find food and water. These people were tough. They valued family, poetry, and loyalty to their tribe. There were a few cities in this desert. The most important city was Mecca. Mecca was famous for two things. First, it had a very important building called the Kaaba. People traveled from all over to visit it. Second, it was a busy center for trade. Merchants traveled in large caravans. A caravan is a group of people and animals traveling together for safety on long journeys. Because of trade, some leaders in Mecca became very rich and powerful. In the year 570, a boy named Muhammad was born in Mecca. His early life was full of sadness. His father died before he was born. His mother died when he was only 6 years old. He was raised by his grandfather and then by his uncle. Muhammad knew how it felt to be poor and alone, but he was a very good and smart young man. He worked hard as a merchant. People trusted him. They called him Al-Amin, which means the trustworthy. Muhammad had a good life, but he was not completely happy. He did not like the way rich people treated the poor in Mecca. He did not like the greed and the fighting. To find peace, he often walked up a mountain. He sat in a small cave called Hira to think. When he was 40 years old, something amazing happened. A bright angel named Gabriel appeared to him. The angel gave him a message from God. This is called a revelation. A revelation is a divine truth or secret message given to a human. The message Muhammad received was simple but very strong. It said there is only one God called Allah. This is called monotheism. Monotheism is the belief that there is only one God, not many. The message also said that all people are equal. Rich or poor, strong or weak, everyone is the same to God. The message told people to share their money and help orphans. These teachings later became the holy book of Islam called the Quran. Muhammad shared this message with his friends and family. Slowly, more people started to believe him. They were called Muslims. But the rich leaders in Mecca were very angry. They made money from the old ways. They did not want to share their wealth or treat poor people as equals. The leaders started to hurt the Muslims. Life became very dangerous. The early Muslims faced hunger, pain, and fear, but they did not give up. Their hope and faith kept them strong. After 13 years of struggle, Muhammad and his followers had to leave their home. In the year 622, they traveled to a friendly city in the north called Yathrib. This journey is called a migration. A migration is when people leave their home to find a new, safer place to live. This specific journey is so important that the Islamic calendar starts from this year. The new city was renamed Medina, which means the city of the Prophet. Here the Muslims finally found a safe home to build their new community. In Medina, Muhammad was not just a teacher. He became a leader of a whole city. He created an agreement so everyone could live together peacefully. This is called a constitution. A constitution is a set of rules that says how a city or country must be organized. Jews, Christians, and Muslims all agreed to protect each other. For the first time in Arabia, people were united by shared rules and beliefs, not just by their family tribe. It was a new way to live. But the rich leaders of Mecca still wanted to destroy the Muslims. Over several years, Mecca sent large armies to attack Medina. The Muslims had to fight to protect their families, their homes, and their new religion. There were many terrible battles. In one famous attack, the Muslims dug a deep ditch around Medina to stop the enemy horses. The enemy surrounded the city and tried to starve them. This is called a siege. A siege is a military attack where an army surrounds a city to stop food and people from going in or out. The Muslims survived the harsh siege through teamwork and patience. In the year 630, everything changed. The Muslims grew very strong. They finally marched back to their old home, Mecca, with 10,000 men. The leaders of Mecca were terrified. They thought Muhammad would kill them for all the pain they caused. But he did not. He chose to forgive them. This is called amnesty. Amnesty is an official promise of forgiveness for people who have done wrong. Muhammad walked into the city peacefully. He went straight to the Kaaba and removed all the old statues. The city was finally at peace. By the year 632, almost all of the Arabian Peninsula had accepted Islam. The long years of fighting were mostly over, but later that year, the community faced a terrible shock. Muhammad became very sick and passed away. The people were broken-hearted. Many cried in the streets and could not believe he was gone. Without their great teacher and leader, the young community was confused and afraid. Who would lead them now? To keep the community together, the people chose Muhammad's closest friend, Abu Bakr, to be their new leader. He took a new title. He became the first caliph. A caliph is a political and religious leader who guides the Islamic community. Abu Bakr. And the next three leaders are called the rightly guided caliphs by many Muslims. They had a very difficult job. They had to stop the tribes from splitting apart. Thanks to their strong leadership, the community stayed united. Soon the new Islamic State looked beyond the hot desert. To the north, there were two huge old empires. An empire is a massive group of countries or lands ruled by a single powerful leader. These old empires were very tired and weak from fighting each other for hundreds of years. The Arab armies rode out of the desert on horses and camels. They were fast, brave, and deeply united by their faith. In just a few decades, they took over huge areas of land in Egypt, Syria, and Persia. The Islamic Empire grew incredibly fast, bringing massive wealth and power. But success brought new problems. People started to argue about who should be the next caliph. During the time of the fourth caliph, Ali, who was Muhammad's cousin, the community broke apart. The Muslims started to fight against each other. This is called a civil war. A civil war is a violent conflict between groups of people who live in the same country or community. It was a time of great sadness. This heartbreak eventually caused the two main branches of Islam we see today, Sunni and Shia. Despite the sadness of the Civil War, the Islamic State did not fall. A new, powerful family took control. They were called the Umayyads. They created the first dynasty in Islamic history. A dynasty is a series of rulers who all come from the same family. The Umayyads moved the capital city away from the quiet desert of Medina. They moved it to the grand city of Damascus in Syria. From here, they ruled a massive empire that stretched all the way to Spain in the west and India in the east. Time passed, and eventually another family took power. They were called the Abbasids. The Abbasids built a brand new capital city called Baghdad. Under their rule, a wonderful time began. Historians call this the Islamic Golden Age. It was a time of peace, wealth, and deep thinking. The rulers did not just want land and money. They wanted something much more valuable. They wanted knowledge. In Baghdad, the leaders built a massive library and school called the House of Wisdom. They invited the smartest people from all over the world. Christians, Jews, and Muslims worked together in this building. Their main job was translation. Translation is the act of changing words from one language into a different language. They translated ancient Greek, Roman, and Indian books into Arabic. Because of their hard work, the world's ancient knowledge was saved from being lost forever. Because these scholars shared their ideas, they made amazing new discoveries. They studied the stars to help travelers find their way. They created new types of medicine and built the first real hospitals. They even invented a new kind of math called algebra. Algebra is a type of mathematics where letters are used to represent unknown numbers. Every time you use a computer or a smartphone today, you are using math that was developed during this amazing time. While the scholars studied, merchants traveled. The Islamic Empire sat right in the middle of the world. It connected Europe, Africa, and Asia. The merchants carried beautiful silk, sweet spices, and new inventions across land and sea. But they carried something else too. They carried ideas. They introduced coffee, lemons, and paper to new parts of the world. Through peaceful trade, the Islamic culture influenced places far beyond the borders of their empire. Eventually, the great Islamic empires split into smaller kingdoms. Great cities fell, and new nations were born. But the changes that started in the Arabian desert never disappeared. Today, nearly 2 billion people around the world follow the teachings of Islam. The art, the science, and the architecture from those early centuries are still alive. What started as a small, struggling group of people in a very harsh place completely changed human history. The story of the rise of Islam and the early caliphates teaches us a powerful lesson about human resilience. It shows us that great light can come from the darkest, driest places. A lonely boy with a difficult childhood grew up to unite a broken people. A harsh desert produced a culture that valued learning, sharing, and connection. It reminds us that no matter how difficult our environment is, human belief, courage, and a thirst for knowledge can completely transform the world.